Hello there, JJ here. So this is gonna be a compilation of all my cool seasons from all my cool fights from off season. I joined back in Faye, and I'm gonna be sending next season with them. In the last three wars of off season, it was planned normally. So, here are some of the cool fights that I had. I'm obviously not gonna include all the fights because some of them, like I had like 8 deaths to. But yeah. So here is Serpent on Thorns, and I've taken this fight before, but that was in tier 2, and also unboosted, and I don't have read pre-fights or wags. So he's been blockable the whole time. There's Thorns, and right now I'm at 67 and he's at 95. So obviously that doesn't look good, but now I'm at 50% and I get off my Soul Barb, and that's doing a ton of damage. I don't dash back during the special, so I'm able to, so I'm able to keep his Dread on low. Then I parry, get multiple lights in before I throw my first special one. I remove his resist up, and I get up a ton of incinerates. I'm at 13, and I think I do heavy into a very clutch intercept, and then an SP1 right before the Soul Barb expires. So everything about this fight is going perfectly. Get another heavy up after. You want to have a lot of hit minimization. So see, I'm going for a lot of extra heavies. That's because every time I hit him, I take a ton of damage from Thorns. And even though the passives gain a ton more potency, you don't gain benefit from an equity. So yeah, I finished this fight. Pretty much a perfect fight. I don't see how I could have played that better. Yeah, so 40% health left. Very good fight. Next up, I have Red Skull on node number 3, I think. Yeah, so I'm putting on like little mini boosts. So yeah, this fight is not a good fight. I almost die, and then I clutch it out. So just like showing some ways that, like, even when you're about to lose, I mean, I know it's off season, so it didn't really matter, but I was gonna die, and I just decided to, stay in there. So yeah, that combo took me down to 27, and I had power detonations on me and everything. Got the heavy off at the end. So yeah, this fight is all about getting your soul barbs up, and then I hit his block one more time in the power detonation. I'm at like 10%, and I'm just like, whatever, I'm probably dead, but it's off season, so it doesn't matter. I might as well, like, try to not die. And yeah, so I don't even have a parry blessing, but I have 2 heavy blessings. Got a parry up finally. I go in after the thing. I try to go for light intercepts. It lands. Then I throw my special 2 before the soul barb expires, so I get the extended duration. And he's ticking for a lot. Like 5.5k with 16 buffs, and I don't even have all my ignitions up. But each time I throw a heavy, I increase the damage of my effects, because that's just how Kushala works, or heavy attack increases damage by 10%. And then, yeah, I throw an SP1 off, not for the nullify, but for the incinerates that you get from the soul barb. So yeah, that fight went well. Next up, I have a really, really, really cool fight, which is Yelena on node 45 with Vox. Last time I did this, I was max boosted. This time, I have basically no boosts, but I am entering full health. So, as you're going to see, that's not going to matter, because I start the fight by taking a massive combo, then blocking some more hits. So now it's basically like I started the fight with a 40% revive. And I take another big blocked hit. And yeah, so this is stun immunity and poison rupture. So it's all about just making sure that you don't hit too much during rupture. So that's where I'm going to lose the rest of my health from. So yeah, I'm going to lose a lot of health from hitting during rupture. So that's probably something I could have done better. But otherwise, I played this fight pretty dang well after like the first 15 seconds. So I get my first set of degens up, and I'm going to be extremely reckless, and I'm going to smash into the rupture phase and do anything to save my degens. So as you can see, I have 5 ruptures on me. I'm ticking down. It's a minute in, and I'm already at 15% health, and she's at 73% health. But it was worth it, because my next special is going to do an absurd amount of damage with degens. Another thing that you should probably note is how high that her combo count is increasing. So it's pretty dangerous. It's already at 80. But another thing that's very good to do in this fight is, even if she's like in rupture phase, you can hit her a few times to push her to the next bar of power, so that your next I don't know, so that she throws the special during rupture phase. So I see that her elimination mode's about to come on. So yeah, so the degens expire without me collecting them, but they did a huge chunk of damage, got her down to 16%. So now I just need to spam hit her block until I can throw another special. And that's exactly what I do. So I get the full dex down, I back up, and then I go hit her block 4 times, do the same thing. At this point I can use medium attacks, but there's no point. Why risk it? So I'm just going 4 combos, and then after I do this final combo, I'm going to do the thing where you bait a heavy without blocking. So see how I block and dash back at the last moment? That convinced her to bait that heavy. Then I throw my SB1, and now she's dead. So I just have to wait it out, and those 13 degens are either going to tick her out or leave her at like 5%. So I think I'm going to leave her very low in health, like at 3%. 1%, I do one hit, and then I'm just like, no reason to risk getting ruptures and stuff. I'm just going to hit her block, and then, yeah, so that ends the fight in about 2.5 minutes. So even though it was, like, not a good fight, I lost, like, 60% of my health in the first 5 seconds, and then everything else went really wrong. It was still good because I got the solo out with an unboosted Vox. So if I take that fight in season, I'm extremely confident in the solo. Next up, I have basically a filler fight. This is Ma on node number, I think it's 27 with Poison and Cold Snap. And yeah, so I just put this fight in just because. So I'll see you at the important fight. As you can see, Nefaria cleaned that up quite nicely. Here's the important fight. Here's node 36 Dark Phoenix. So the thing is that I'm immune to both bleed and incinerate, but whenever I trigger my bleed immunity, I lose 20 of my ionic charges. So what my plan was to offset this with baiting a ton of SB1s, so she gains a ton of power, and then with that ton of power I get more buildups, so I can get more of my charges. So at this point, I only had 3 decelerates. So I knew that if I baited a special one, there was a very high chance that she would be still triggering the unstoppable. So I pushed her to SB2 using heavies, and then I think I'm going to bait this, or before I baited it, I throw this SB1 because I was worried about getting pushed to SB2 with the blocking. Now I'm going to try to bait this, and then throw a full 5-hit combo into an SB2, and then after that, I want to start baiting my special ones. But unfortunately, even with 5 decelerates, 5 decelerates, she's still going to trigger the passive unstoppable, so I'm going to get the Nova, basically. I have no idea why I heavy there. She throws another one, gets another unstoppable, and at this point, the fight looks really bad. I'm throwing specials into block, I barely get the evade off, but the fight is actually perfectly under control, because now I have a ton of decelerates, and I'm just going to spam baiting the SB1s, and then do a regular punish. So you'll see, bait the SB1, full 5-hit combo to reduce the Nova, but I also have a ton of charges from the power gain from the SB1, and I'm siphoning that power gain from my Ionic Overdrive. So Dex out at the end of that, and then I do a full 5-hit combo. I'm losing a ton of charges with the bleed, but I'm also gaining a ton from every special one I bake. So look, I'm going to bait this special one. Well, she's being stingy. I bait it, and then I do a full 5-hit combo into an SB2. Removes the duration of the Nova Flame for each hit. And then she's immune to Incinerate, so obviously this fight is never quick. Count of Area isn't like the best counter. He's just very safe with all of his resistances. And in this case, Dark Phoenix is placed on a hazard shift. So yeah, and there I don't get the parry, but it's fine because siphon some charges back, and I'm staying at a steady 60%. I finally get the evade off for the energy vulnerability, but that's already at the end of the fight, so it doesn't really matter. Now I just have to wait off the next 12 seconds of immortality, and she'll die from the reversed regen from thing, so she throws another SP1, and I just throw my SP1, and she dies. So, obviously it wasn't a perfect fight. She gained some unstoppables and hit me and stuff, but I think that's as good as you're going to get, and that was completely unboosted, so should you be assigned that fight in season, I would not be too worried. Just stay calm and then try to get into a cycle baiting a bunch of SP1s, and you'll heal back the initial Nova Flame damage until you get your decelerates up. Next up, we have a fight that went way better than I expected. This is Footloose and Rich Get Richer Count Nefaria. So, yeah, so the plan is that my decelerates will fully counter Footloose, and then from those decelerates, I will, from him having all the buffs with Rich Get Richer, I'm going to be gaining power and placing more decelerates. So it's a cycle of Rich Get Richer giving him power, giving me more decelerates, which gives him more buffs, which more Rich Get Richer. So it's basically like a cycle, but like you just play it like a normal fight, and you're constantly gaining power. And see, I'm failing his evade, I failed his unstoppable, he's gaining power, and I'm siphoning it. And Sentinel is a tanky guy, but when you have basically unlimited access to as many charges as you want, and a ton of extra power gain, it's really not that bad. And the last armor up phase, where all the expiring armor ups like give him a ton of power, just does not happen. So this fight is very easy. I mean, not easy. Like the beginning is kind of annoying, but it's very simple, and you can also block the special too. And I try to go for the evade there, and I don't get the energy vulnerability. I already tried it with the SP1, so I realized there was no hope getting an energy vulnerability. So yeah, I lose my mode, so I go right into another SP1. I turn on Do Not Disturb. And then, yeah, so it's just bait SP2s, and then go back in. I'm going to try to get to my special 2, and I did not have enough combat power, but because of all of the Rich Get Richer I was siphoning, I did. And then he decks out at the beginning of my SP2, that was kind of cool, but, you know, AI be wild in these days. I dex SP2, go back in, and then go for an SP1, and then I think I parry, intercept into a relic, or no, full 5 combo. And then, because of all the power gain, I'm just back at another special 2 already. This fight is going extremely well. I'm siphoning power gain. He's not evaded once, nor has he gotten the unstoppable. At least not since the beginning of the fight, if he got that at all. And yeah, at this point, I still have 3 minutes left. He has 30% left, and I know this fight is going to go fine. This entire time, I've had double-digit decelerates, which each 17% potency. So I've known that I've been safe from that the entire time, and it's just become a cycle of just dexing specials and throwing specials, and the constant extra power gain is just extremely helpful. And now he's in his armor phase, and I was a little bit worried, but yeah, they expired, and I got the power, and he didn't. See, I'm already at a bar and a half, even though I just threw an SP2, and I know that after I made this special 2, he's going to be dead from me throwing my special 2. So yeah, that was a very under control fight. It wasn't the fastest, but Nefaria dominates this node so hard with the Iron Man synergy. The access to the decelerates allow him for so much control over that node. So yeah. Next up, I have this Wong fight, which is very easy and trivial, and I'm just showing you because I don't know why not. So it's Scared Stiff and Bubble Shield, but it doesn't really matter because you're just going to parry the end of the special ones, and you're going to get energy vulnerability, and you're going to do more damage. So yeah, I'm going to try to be another special. I think at one point I get rooted, and yeah, there I get rooted, but I evade into the special one, so it's fine. And then I do a heavy attack, and I think I'm going to parry the last set of the special one again. Then it's just this cycle of parrying the last set of the SP1, getting up the energy vulnerability, and then, well, that one I didn't. Oh, that one okay, so Count of Fury is light attack count. Evade counts as a light attack, and I knew that if I evaded into the heavy, it would trigger the energy burst. So I dexed out of it and then used the heavy attack. But while I was speaking, I absolutely demolished him. So, yeah. And last up, we have a fight that was not assigned to me, but it's off-season, so I just stole the fight because why not? This is Thing on node 48, Safeguard, Stunning Reflection with Poison and, not Poison, Bleed and Shock, which Thing is immune to both. And we sent Spider-Woman, but I was like, I might as well kind of area this. And this is probably some of the worst Count of Fury gameplay you'll see. Yeah, so I'm going to try to parry the last hit of his Special 1 and Special 2, so many times, and I think I get it once the entire fight. So yeah, it was kind of trivial, but yeah. So I got hit. That was my second one, and obviously I'm Count Nefaria, so I'm not gonna die. But at this point, there was force of will, so I thought that I would not I would not stop the unstoppables because the accelerates are an ability accuracy modification. But I think over here, yeah, I realized that I do, and I was like, oh wait, that's cool. So I take advantage of that when I have multiple decelerates up. And then yeah, I keep getting hit by the SP1s. It's just really funny, especially because I'm not gonna die to it. I know, unless I like get hit by an SP2 crit when he has like max furies. But at that point in the fight, I realized that I should probably stop going for them. But I don't even think about that until later in the fight. So there, try to get it off, and then bam, get hit 8,000 damage. Nefaria is so tanky. So yeah, I'm like basically a minute in, and he's down to like 70%. I trigger protection for the first time this fight because safeguard is not allowing me to trigger protection. I don't really know how that interaction works because I think that protection happens before safeguard, meaning that if you do a hit big enough to trigger protection, that will trigger instead of the safeguard capping it. So let's say you do like 1.5% of his health, it caps it to 1%. But let's say you do an attack that would have done like 5% of his health, that would have been caught by his protection, then it gets protection first, so you don't even get the full 1% from the protection from safeguard. So yeah, I think that's how it works. While I was yapping, I finally got up my first counter evade, and I don't even know why I was going up for the whole time because it was probably a bad thing to get the energy vulnerability because now I don't know about all, but a lot of my hits are going to trigger protection. So it's probably not the smartest thing to do. I got another energy vulnerability, and yeah, so now I'm back to missing them. SP1 doesn't trigger the protection though, and at this point I know the fight's basically fine. Like, it's just going to be probably another minute and I'll be fine. He's back at a special one, and then I go for one last one, and then I realize it's probably not worth it to go for them, especially because it was hindering my damage because of the constant protection. So I go for a relic into a a block bait. Yeah, so no, I push him to 15 so that I can bait this and then do a full special 2. And then whenever it crits, it triggers protection, which is slightly frustrating, but it's fine. Yeah, so at that point I realized, yeah, no point to go for the parry at the end. If I only realized that earlier, I probably would have saved myself like 30% of my health, but it doesn't really matter. He triggers his unstoppable, he catches me, it does damage because he crits, and yeah, I'd back up there. If that hit probably crit while I tried to evade it, it would have killed me. But yeah, thank God I didn't do that. And then yeah, so it took me 3 minutes to do that fight, but very easy and safe fight. I'm sure Spider-Woman would have done it probably a little bit quicker, but probably not nearly as safer. Another problem with Spider-Woman for Thing is that it's really hard to count rock stacks because your ensnare might fail it. So I actually don't know if I would send Spider-Woman. I don't think that'd be a very good assignment. But I'm not a planner, so it's not up to me. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, have a great day.